Happy Wednesday. I'm trying to get on here a little bit more. I need to get another hands-free thing to hold my phone, so that way I'm not having to hold my phone while I'm driving. But I wanted to just come on here and talk about something actually came up today in a Facebook thread, and it is something that I talk to my clients a lot about. It's also something I have to listen to my own advice a lot. And then of course I have therapy, which I'm on my way to right now. So, and I think that we have to be understanding of the fact that there are certain things that trigger us, and there are certain things that we cannot control. And this is something that I am having to work through extensively, is just remembering that I'm only in control of really one person, and that's me. I cannot control what happens when I get in my car. Like right now, I'm in my car, I'm paying attention, I'm looking around, but if someone were to come up and hit me from the back or something like that, like I'm not in control of that, okay? And these are things that we have to be aware of, because that could happen, right? So I kind of joke around with people and I'll say, hey, I don't ever leave home without, water and, food. So I always have an apple. All right. So just because, what if that were to happen, right? And I'm stuck on the road. Now I'm on my way to an appointment right now. So that would really suck, because, I need to be to my appointment on time. But you really just never know. So, there was someone that came on, and she was talking about, people changing their schedule at the last minute and how it was really messing her up. And I totally get that. I don't prefer last minute changes at all. I like to plan ahead as much as possible. This is something I'm trying to get my family to understand as well. Like, I need to be able, because I have so much going on. I do work from home, but I also have a couple clients outside of my home right now. And then of course I'm writing and doing some other things as well. Not to mention all the therapy appointments and trying to get plugged into the community and volunteering and things like that. So I have a lot going on. So I need to be able to plan accordingly. So one of the things she had mentioned is if there's a contractor and they say they're going to be there at a certain time, but then I guess at the last minute they did a last minute change that was like 2 hours, and she mentioned she does work from home. Now I can see that really jacking something up, right? Because when I was doing the podcast and things like that, like everything was scheduled. So I have scheduled calls, I have scheduled strategy calls, things like that. And so if I have, say, an appointment for the house, so we just moved into a new house, and tomorrow we have a roofing company coming, and they're supposed to come in at a certain time. And if they were to change that, right, it would kind of mess me up. It would. So I'm not saying that. What I am trying to get across is we have to be willing to be flexible with people, because people are not 100% reliable, right? So if any of us who have ever dealt with people should already know this, that people are just not 100% reliable. And in the past, I've allowed that to really take me down, whether it was people not showing up, or not being on time, or quitting, whatever it is, right? If I had a client and they were doing really well, but then they quit, I would reflect that on myself, and I would say, what did I do? What did I do? Now, here's the thing. I had to learn how to begin kind of getting over myself. I say that a lot. Sometimes we have to get over ourselves, and we have to realize that it's not us, it's usually something within them. Now, what I would say to this person who had this issue is, if them changing the schedule at the last minute impacted her, or she had something else scheduled at that time, then she has to really hone into the fact, is she trying to please everybody? So I am habitually a people pleaser. And so I can definitely relate to people when they're trying to please everybody. The problem with that is we'll never be able to please everyone, right? So what I would want to tell her is, if this impacted her schedule that much, what she needs to do at that point is let that contractor know, like, hey, I am not available at that time and we need to reschedule. Also, we have to know how to prioritize, right? So if that appointment was more important than her other appointment, like if it's something with your house and say something's falling apart and you really, really need to keep that appointment for that day, then we have to learn how to let someone down, right? Like, most people that we work with, or it should be this way, most people that we work with should understand the fact that life happens, because, hey, they're alive also, and their life happens as well. So I've had it happen in the past where, something like that did happen and something was scheduled at the last minute and it had to take precedence, unfortunately, over a coaching call that I had. And so what I had to do was reach out to the person who was doing the call with me and just let them know, like, hey, I want to really apologize for any, if this causes any kind of frustration or anything like that. However, this just happened, and I am 100% honest now, because from what I've seen, if you are dealing with people who have respect for other people, most of us encounter similar situations, right? So if you're working with people who can relate, right? And maybe they love the fact that you are relatable, I hope. If they don't love that, then maybe you need to move forward and find someone else to work with. And that's something else that I've had to really come to terms with. But we have to be willing to look out for ourselves. So I know that it's going to be stressful if I'm trying to take on a call that's supposed to be private while I have like contractors coming over working on the house. Okay. I know that's going to be stressful for me. So I have to choose. I have to choose which one is going to take priority over the other. And that is going to have to it's going to have to let someone down, right? It might let my spouse down if I had to reschedule the appointment for the house. But then again, maybe that person should have been there, right? So you have to be willing to look out for what's in your own best interest and be okay with that. Be okay with that choice, and just remember, you're only in control of yourself. You have the ability to make these choices. You have the ability to, let someone know, like, hey, this does not work for me. You changing this at the very last minute and doing this 2 hours earlier does not work for my schedule. We're going to have to reschedule if the original time does not work for you. And that is just something that we have to be willing to say. And like I said, I have to listen to my own advice, because this was not, what I'm telling you right now, it was not easy for me to get there. Okay, it was not easy at all for me to learn how to let someone down, because I don't like letting anyone down. But what happens is we are letting someone down, and it's usually ourselves. So we have to be willing to understand that in order to look out for number one, which is the one person we can control, we have to be willing to let someone down, right? And we have to be okay with that. And we have to give ourselves grace. And we have to understand that if that other person is not okay with being let down, if they are not human and they don't understand and they want to take their business elsewhere, then maybe that's for the best. And maybe that's not someone you're supposed to be working with anyway. And that's something else that I really, really, really have had to work on tremendously, because I just don't like letting people down, but I let myself down, right? And we can't do that. We have to show up for number one. We have to show up for ourselves. We have to do this in order to accomplish anything in our lives. And so I just hope and pray that this person is able to find peace in this, and just know that, life is going to happen. People are going to let us down. we cannot set our expectations too high for people. That is something else that I used to do. And then I would always get let down, right? So don't ever set your expectations too high. Even for yourself, give yourself some grace. Try to understand that life is going to happen. You're going to be taken off course every now and then. It's just going to happen, okay? So what you can do is try to plan for the unexpected. And when you are confronted, and I say when because it is going to happen. It's not about, it's the same thing I say about catching viruses, right? Like catching COVID. Like, it's not about when it's going to, it's not about if it's going to happen. It's when it's going to happen. So life is going to happen. It's when it's going to happen. And we don't always know that, right? So that's that unknown that kind of freaks us out and makes us uneasy and causes anxiety. And that's the unknown. So we have to be willing to accept the unknown instead of allowing the unknown to kind of take us down. We have to be willing to accept the unknown and build a strategy around the unknown. And that is being willing to tell one person or the other, hey, something came up, or hey, this schedule is not going to work for me. I need to reschedule. And that's okay to do. All right. So I just wanted to come on here and do this video because that question did get raised in another group that I'm in on Facebook. And I wanted to just kind of share my 2 cents and hope and pray that this helps someone. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in and have a blessed Wednesday. Bye.